Hello, my name is Pamela Peeters. I'm an environmental economist, sustainability strategist with over 25 years of international experience, and I'm extremely pleased and honored to be a part of your Voices program, your 100 Voices project.
We are genuinely delighted and privileged to have Pamela here today, all the way from Belgium. I bumped into her a couple of days ago at a Harvard Business School conference, and I was mesmerized. She spoke about the fact that she started when she was 12 years old, the fact that she has really gone out there in the world trying to change things and make a difference in all sorts of ways. And in terms of her pure spirit and soul that she was projecting, was amazing. And I reached out to her, and we are extremely privileged that she has agreed to join us on Voices of the Future. Pamela, wonderful to have you.
So delighted to be invited and to be back here in Dubai, because I was here for the first time doing COP28.
Right.
And first time experience smashing. So glad to be back. Super.
Pamela, as we go into the future, let's do a little recap and go into the past. Tell us about little Pamela. Tell us about the little girl and what changed her life, and anything that may have happened that fundamentally shaped you to who you are today.
Well, that's a fabulous question, because little Pamela was always a happy Pamela. Little Pamela was always pointing at the sun and smiling. And my mother always told me that I noticed the little things that others didn't see. I'm an observer, but I observe with a kind heart. I see beauty. And so I think that shaped little Pamela. I was born in Antwerp, Belgium, countryside, and very, I would say, healthy mind, healthy body, family. We moved to Holland for my father's work, and the Dutch people are way more outgoing than the Belgians. So every step of the road, I adopted new tools. So the outspoken Pamela came with living in The Hague. Biking was always part of the fun, many friends, back to Belgium when I was around 8 years old. And living in the countryside opens you up to the seasons. You're not a city girl, you were living with the seasons. And then we have a lot of free time. I launched my first environmental magazine at age 12.
Yes.
This is the 80s, okay? This is not 2010. Yeah. So a bit ahead of the time, maybe. And I think I learned my first building blocks on what it was to do original research, how to shape it in a format that's attractive to people, and then offer it to my schoolmates, classmates. Teachers became interested. We organized hikes in nature. And so I think I learned very slowly how to create a movement based on positive energy. I did my first survival camp in England at age 16, another building block, how to survive. That came in handy when I moved to New York, Manhattan, the jungle, right? So I learned very young to make something out of nothing, to always push the limit. And then college, I applied for the economic sciences. I have a master's degree in applied economic sciences. Lo and behold, in '93, I chose already the topic of sustainable development and how to change consumption and production patterns. And it got me really excited. I got a high distinction. I was ranked top 3 of the class. And I said, well, I want to be an expert. I really want to contribute in this amazing opportunity that's called the green and social economy. But I do not know a lot or not enough about Mother Earth, her reality. Let's go there. And so I got another master's degree in environmental management. Had a lot of fun in another master thesis about quality indicators for city transition people. And first job out of college was forecasting right away. I'm very intuitive. I sense things.
It's amazing the way you've narrated your story, because I can see that you are a storyteller.
Yes.
And a consummate one at that. My thinking here is that You just told me about your successes. What about your bumps on the road? What
Oh,
about
gosh, they're
what about
equally-
things you messed
Oh,
up?
no,
And
no,
were you
bumps.
naughty? I think I was very naughty. I was just completely out of order. I was smart, but I was naughty.
I was a tomboy.
Okay.
Okay, I climbed trees.
Yeah.
The biker girl. I mean, I got like the old Meccano box from my father. I built garages. I had cars to play with.
Right.
I think I received one Barbie and I cut her hair. I thought she was so plastic. Apparently this summer it was a good thing to be plastic.
Yeah.
The failures, yeah, well, I was a talker. So, in Belgium, it's very strict. When you speak in the classroom line, I got punished. I had to write. I didn't understand why we had to be punished. Maybe a little bit of a rebel, but the rebel with a cause.
Mm-hmm. I find that you're one of the few people in amongst the 100 voices that I'm talking to who ended up doing what they started with. Because all sorts of people have been, navigating their lives in different kinds of ways, and they ended up doing things that they didn't set out to do, and they found their way. What I find fascinating about you is that you saw it very early, 80s and 90s, for sustainability, for all of these things was extremely early. What was the general feedback that you were getting from your parents, and like going to do a normal degree in economics or this or that, rather than sustainability and all of this stuff, because that's for boring professors or something like that?
Oh, I don't find anything boring, because it's really the way how you approach things. Sustainability is about life. It's about celebrating life, preserving life. The other mishap that I didn't really say, it's worthwhile sharing. During that survival camp in Lake Windermere, the tent flew away in the middle of the night. I mean, it was a stormy night. So it's not all glamorous either, but you learn from that. You just learn to always keep on going. And I pushed the boundaries because of that.
Yeah. Let's clarify some jargon, because sustainability means different things to a lot of people. There's sustainability, there's green, there's climate change, there's the environment, and all of them are overlapping and used against each other, with each other. Can you provide us with some clarity, something simple that we can get our arms around?
Sure. So you have to understand that climate change is a symptom. It's not a cause, all right? Climate change is a result of an imbalance. And so the imbalance is the human activity of disrespect, basically, of undervaluing the natural capital. And so everybody's talking about climate change. If you have a person who's smoking for 30 years and they're coughing, you're not going to say we're gonna solve the cough. You have to take the cigarette away. Basically, that's what it is in a nutshell. Where we are now invited to, crisis equals opportunity. Always. What we're invited to as a human collective is to sit around a unified table and to really think this out together. This is the end, or a call for an end of polarization. It's not me against you, them against they. It is really simply that we cannot continue to live along the extrapolation, the linear extrapolation of what we were used to live by, produce by, consume by since the Industrial Revolution. So it's really a potential shift of consciousness that we can embrace if we really learn the lessons. And the major lesson is learn to Mother Earth, learn to listen to her language, okay? If the trees are dying, sometimes we listen. We got rid of the sulfur dioxide, right? Montreal Protocol was called into being because there was a hole in the ozone layer. So humanity knows when to say, uh-oh, we have a problem. The problem with environmental pollution, it is so vast that people don't even know where to start. And I say the solution is start with yourself. It is really with yourself, the individual, that progress can be made. Don't wait for another person, because you can wait eternally. Start with yourself now. What does it mean to you to have a relationship with nature, to start that bond? What is it, according to you, to live healthy? Start with yourself, and automatically it will spread in your circle, within the community. And that's how the power of locality becomes the global environment.
I agree with you, but at a micro level I agree with you, and then at a community level I understand what you were saying. Let me challenge you on that.
Okay, sure.
Because I and here I'm being an activist, because hypercapitalism for me is one of the core reasons for what is happening at this point in time. We have $5 trillion worth of money which is sort of sitting in in terms of excavation of oil and gas and so on. Nobody's going to walk away from that. They're making too much money out of it. So as long as people are making that much money, it's very nice to say, oh, well, do it yourself. But guess what? $5 trillion, big fat oil companies, COP28 had more finance people and more oil companies than any COP ever before.
Yeah.
So how does this fit? Because you and I could do wonderful things, but these guys go and pollute anything that they want. So I'm a little bit, I would say skeptical, but I'll go beyond that. I would say cynical. That they are not going to change until something changes them.
Well, that's often a crisis, right? So nobody wants to change. Everybody wants to keep their comfort level. But change is the only constant in life. And we can either do it together, slowly and softly. And what I mean is, if you're addicted to sugar, and you're getting sick, you have to slowly build off the sugar. And then you start to go with alternatives, juices, etc., waters.
But I don't have a sugar problem. I love sugar because I sell sugar.
Okay, you sell sugar. But it's testing where your limits are, where the sweet spot is. And I think collectively there is a large role to play by the media.
100%. I agree.
The truth is not being written. And this is also the era of truth. Companies who still pretend to be green and who are not, those need to be called out for. The greenwashing needs to stop, but any experts really knows where the greenwashing is. You can't give an award to a company because suddenly they do a green tree planting initiative if the employees are not paid fairly enough. So I think it's time to just be honest. Okay, you know what? I made a mistake. I'm not better than I claim to be. Just be truthful, saying, you know what? We are here right now. This is where we want to go, and call for the collective of all the employees of the neighborhood, of the community to chime in, sit around the table, and be open-minded about the change and figure out how it feels. Maybe to give in a little and move a little left or right.
Indeed. In the 60s and the 70s, and even going up into the 80s, most of the oil companies, as we know them today, and most of the early research spoke about climate change, spoke about carbon issues, spoke about all of that.
Exactly.
And all of them are just buried under the table. So where I'm going with this is that they cynically knew how much money they could make out of it, and they still did. What I'm challenging, not you, but the whole issue I am challenging is that I feel that if COVID didn't change things fundamentally, and we saw some of the wonderful things that happened during COVID, the dolphins came back and the air was clear, you could see the sky again and all this kind of stuff.
Oh, yes.
In many cities. Where do we go, in my opinion, and where do we go to be able to address this fundamental hypercapitalism, that direction versus conscious capitalism, sustainable capitalism. I like making money and I like people to make money. What I'm saying is we need a fundamental shift, and I don't see where that shift is coming from.
Well, I can just give potentially one suggestion. There's a lot of mechanisms and structures that are totally outdated. All right. I already talked about valuation system. I think the accounting system needs to change.
Sure.
It doesn't make sense that I, as a company, go into another foreign company, take down the resources, cut down forest, and then wait, my balance goes up. What about the impact of what you have done to another country? That should be included, right?
100%.
Externalities, same thing. The principle of externalities, there can be positive externalities and negative externalities. How is that being accounted for? So sustainability is not just focusing, let's plant a tree or let's recycle. It's an absolutely shift where human potential is also a part of that beautiful cocktail. But accounting systems, the educational system, That's another one that needs to be tackled as well.
I think a lot of the younger people that are coming through are way more conscious on the sustainable side. So what I'm looking as far as some of these companies are concerned is that they have absolutely no incentive to change. So I make these two big, bold statements in my presentation, which I did even this morning, is green needs to become the new digital. 10 years ago, digital was a department, and it was, in the IT area. But today, it's omnipresent. It's everywhere. To me, green needs to be exactly the same thing. Every single decision that we make, every single business plan, every single product, every single thing, we wear a green lens, and we look at that green lens. That's rule number one for life. Rule number two is that sustainability needs to be more profitable than the dirty business. So we need to shift our mind rather than being nice and rather than looking after Mother Earth. We're saying we're going to make more bloody money than these idiots who are making so much money and killing Mother Earth. So the way I can save Mother Earth is be extremely creative. Use AI to change the world. Use AI for climate, for new analysis and new research and new ways of doing things. So I'm taking a more aggressive approach and saying, let's make it more profitable.
Well, I'm very happy you bring it up because, of course, I have some answers to that.
I'm sure you do.
As you know, I'm from Belgium. I was born in fabulous Antwerp. And so in Belgium, we used to have, which was extremely pioneering, a Secretary of State for Sustainable Development. And whenever a new law was voted, you had representatives from that Secretary of State who was actually going to check 1 second. Does this fit within our sustainability paradigm? And if not, back to the drawing board. Sad thing, the Post got lobbied to death. So you have to understand that there's a whole game of players around the table, even with good intentions. You have to understand that there's a lobbying machine going on, so that might need to be tackled as well. Okay? And then the business sector, maybe we need to have an alternative stimulus, right? A positive stimulus, something different that would drive people towards another direction than just that money worshipping game.
So I say that the institutions we have internationally, they were created post-World War II, after Bretton Woods, for a different problem addressing a different time. So United Nations, World Bank, IMF, World Health Organization, etc. All of them were created in the 40s and the 50s for a different issue. They're not ready for today. And my key question is, what kind of institutions do we need to have within sustainability is just one environment, but also data, also learning, also other elements. Our institutions need to not evolve, but be replaced.
Well, who looks into the institutions, right? Now, at the moment, I mean, look at the political game, so to speak. After 2 years of being elected, people already start to think about re-election.
100%.
Where's the continuity? So one party advances one suggestion, which is great, fantastic. The other party comes in and says, oh, this was not really what we wanted. And then that gets disrupted. So I think there should be an appealing red thread that's a continuity. And we really only should focus on that Mother Earth principle because we're shooting ourselves in our feet, right? The bill for the natural disasters are getting so high that even some insurance company don't want to take the risk anymore to cover some homes, for example. So, but they get it. I mean, when I was at Columbia University, we stopped at my Brussels chapter and my first job. It gets way more exciting after that if I can bring you back through that, roadmap. I actually went to India for my second job. We have a royal family in Belgium. King Philip, when he was crown prince, he would select with a whole commission of experts, ambassadors, ministers, some top students, and they would be sent out into the world to help prepare the state visit. And I was, of course, chosen on the spot because I not only had a master in economics, but also environmental management, which made me more appealing because there were 2 missions in environmental technologies, and I could choose between Italy and India. And you're going to like where I went. Of course, I choose India for the spice, the adventure. And I came into something very interesting. You know, people have an opinion about India. I had a very intense, beautiful experience. There is a spiritual thickness. And when I go into a new country, I take a deep breath in. And intuitively, I sense what might happen. And my barometer of excitement was very high. I saw a lot of people who might have been poor, monetary-wise, but extremely happy. Exalted almost even, because they find something. And that special nugget that some people find, which I have found, is to be found in nature. The immense capital of joy that you get when you submerge yourself in nature. And so, of course, I traveled around. You know, I was based at the Belgian embassy in Delhi. I went to Bombay, Bangalore, Goa, not to forget Goa. I did the carnival in Goa, and Calcutta, where I met some authors, etc. So life is rich. Focus on the experiences, focus on the friendship, focus on the family, focus on the heart. And that came back with COVID. So COVID planted a seed. The consumption paused. And people either discovered that they were missing out on something, which was the social interaction. So maybe the pendulum will swing a little bit more, that we say, oh my gosh, well, if we have turned a little bit inside of us, maybe if we take that extra next step, we might find some other golden nugget. And that is something that I would like to offer as well at the end of the conversation.
I'll certainly look forward to it, because I have said this controversially, and I was challenged and beaten up regularly.
That sounds awful.
Yes, but I said it more as a theory rather than as a stated fact. I said that if COVID had lasted and we were not able to find the solution for another 2, 3, 4 years, and there had been a more fundamental shift and things would have fundamentally changed, perhaps it didn't last long enough, sadly. Now, I think it's an extremely unpopular position and a thought process, but where I was going with that is that we learned a lot, like you said. We learned what we like and what we don't like, and a lot of things got accelerated. E-commerce got accelerated, and technology got accelerated, and online learning got accelerated. So there were so many things that used to take decades, and now we're taking weeks and months to change. So there were very good things there. My thought process on that is that the good things that were happening in COVID, I think we needed a little bit more time, because we were back to the future as soon as it finished, and we're back to the whole thing.
Unless something as a catalyst will pop up.
Yes, I think I work with people, and actually one of the people in the book, Dr. Jerome Glenn, he does scenario planning, which is beyond forecasting. It's actually telling stories into the future. And what Jerome speaks about really are the top 10 scenarios in the world that could potentially happen. And it's wonderful to read some of his stories. Yeah, it is very interesting. And we all need to do that scenario planning, because I think that...
Well, you have a vision board, obviously, with that mindset, right?
It goes beyond the vision. I mean, the vision is here, and the scenario planning is out there. Let's pivot a little bit. And it's a nice sort of segue into you're a media personality.
Yes.
You started out as a young journalist, and at 12, and you sort of started a movement, became an activist. Tell us about your media background, and what are the things that are exciting there?
Yeah, well, I think the writing came because I had a diary. I started my diary at 8. And so maybe the introspection came at that same time, right? There was no video game at the time. TV in Belgium was very limited, by the way. And that's actually why I moved to America. So back from India, and you asked me about the stepping stones, but also the tumble blocks. The biggest tumble block was when I was coming back from India, because my mother was sick and passed away within 6 months' time.
Sorry.
So that was a moment of utter heartbreak. And that actually made me move to Belgium. to America from Belgium. I was in Belgium when I came back from India, and then I did public relations just to change my mind, just to get something fun going on because the heart was crushed. And that's actually how I learned media. You know, I was an account manager. I had various brands. The biggest was the smart car. It was a fun thing to do. So I became a spokesperson on TV, and that gave me joy. You know, the sparkle of joy came back on. And my friend said, "Oh, by the way, you look really good." And I said, "But I really liked it." So I went for the evolution of, I want more of that liking, that feeling that I got in doing that.
Yeah.
You know, being in the zone, being focused on the person you interview. It's a special feeling, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Totally. Yeah.
And so I said, okay, I really don't want to stay in Belgium. The memories are too painful.
I know.
And then I had the wits to say, well, I heard my grandfather lived in New York, you know, when he was prime time in his career. So why not try New York? I packed suitcases. And I had some meetings saying, does this CV look interesting to you? And they said, oh gosh, yes, please come. And so I said, okay, well, the idea is I'm going to America. It's going to be really easy, right? With my determined mindset. I'm going to America and I'm going to make the first TV show on sustainable lifestyles, never done before. Had zero training in camera, but I have the eye because I'm the observer, right? And I like a good conversation. So
you're also a photographer, aren't
and I'm
you?
also a photographer. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. And so knocked on the door of the United Nations because sustainability, where does it come from but the UN? Meeting after meeting after meeting. No. What TV on sustainability? I think sometimes when you're too ahead of the curve, you know, you have to have a little bit of patience, but I'd have not too much patience. So I kept having meetings. Suddenly one person said, oh, I know the right person to talk to. Picked up the phone, called a professor at Columbia University, and there I was. One meeting on my bicycle, never forget it, and I see this very impressive Low Memorial Library with Athena on her throne with the owl on her shoulder. I said, I don't know why, I know I will end up here. Didn't even have my meeting yet. I went in, 15 minutes later, here's your office, welcome to the team. You have a research fellowship. You can develop that idea for a TV show. And then I was so clever that I started auditing journalism classes. There was a phenomenal journalism school at Columbia University. And so one professor, Professor John Pavlik, liked me and said, hey, and I like the personality, you're a bit daring, and you seem to know what you're doing. And so he said, want to be my media lab? Well, that was, you know, fantasy land. I was able to test the new technologies in media. I was actually able to submerge myself with journalistic instruments from the future. Yeah. The apps, I was testing that. The 3D printing, I was testing that because we're the guinea pigs, right? For these companies who are developing with feedback from all these people. And that's where I had my idea for my TV pitch, because now I was getting really serious. Okay, I know how to talk. I took public speaking classes. I'm with the best of the best. And on I go with my next assignment, get that pitch done because you want to make TV. And guess what? I was a reporter just to fit in your voices of the future. Yeah. I said, let's be clever. I'm a reporter from the future. That's how I'm going to make my little video. And I'm interrupting the news of today, which was then 2000, the year 2000. Yeah. And the TV station that I approached liked the pitch. And they said, you have 2 shows every month, half an hour. Oh gosh, now that dream became reality. I better start finding a cameraman. I had 0 budget. That was not a muscle I trained yet, by the way. Long story short, I got the TV time slot and I met the most phenomenal people that you could meet, because everybody comes through Manhattan, like it's Dubai, right? Everybody's now coming through Dubai. Yeah. And there we are, TV show called Our Planet. I talked to futurists, I talked to fashion designers, artists, cooks, etc., but always focusing on the sustainability angle. Launched a film festival 4 years ago when I was invited by the UNESCO Decade of Education on Sustainability to be part of the marketing team, etc., etc. And it's just starting to write books. I'm on my 5th graphic novel. Did radio as well for NPR, National Public Radio. Yes. So yeah, it's the the world is my oyster at this point.
Yeah. Now, you very kindly shared your CV, your resume with me, and it was overwhelming because it was never ending. Yeah, you've done so much. Normally, my CV looks like that, and I thought, hang on, I'm humbled by this one. And you had amazing number of awards and achievements and so on. And I feel that you lived a life which is full of not just achievement, but experiences and stories and connections. And this entire book and this entire experience that I have, and I think we are kindred spirits, because I saw you on stage and I said, she's my person. I honest to God truth. Because,
that's so sweet.
Because I'll tell you the story on Voices of the Future.
Yeah.
The media calls me the voice of the future. And they say, oh, you need to put a little program together or a podcast, or write a book. And I fell for my own bullshit. I said, yeah, I've got to write Voice of the Future as a book. Pamela, by chapter 2, I was like, this is not me. I am not narcissistic. I am not self-absorbed. I am not me. And, the world has to listen to me. Mm-hmm. And I may sound good, but that doesn't make it sufficiently authentic indeed. And after introspection and thinking, I came to the conclusion to add one letter, and that changed the world. And the letter was S, Voices. And that was the explosion. That was the moment. It was nuclear, basically. It just blew up.
I like that word, nuclear.
Yeah,
it was very visual.
It is. It was the moment where I was like, suddenly I called up all my friends, and they said, yeah, of course. I had Professor Marshall Goldsmith and this, and I had all of these names. And these are literally global personalities that I worked with, connected with, co-performed with, co-presented with, etc. And I said, this is a movement, a collective voice, collective consciousness, collective impact. Individually, you're great. Collectively, you're awesome. Yeah. And let this be the movement to make a difference. Let this be a movement to bring about some good change. And that was this energy that was created. That was the moment when everything moved.
And what shifted in you? Because there was a pivotal moment in your life, probably.
It was indeed. And what shifted in me, Pamela, was the fact that I found my purpose in a more distinct kind of a way. Mm-hmm. I am a connector of dots. I am an assimilator of ideas and things like that. Yes, I have some depth, but I have a lot of width and context. And I understood that. I understood that if I had been a musician, I wouldn't be the violinist. I would be the conductor of the orchestra. Everybody else is brilliant at what they do. But I can synchronize, harmonize, create symphony. I can create music, I build a crescendo. I can do all of that, and I do that well.
Well, you make me sing right now, right? So you're doing a good job. You're doing a good job.
So that was my discovery in terms of the way I can describe myself to people. I am connecting dots.
Well, we have similar souls. Because when I had that TV show, Our Planet, right? Mm-hmm. It was me talking about my experience. Okay, but that's just one point of view, one dot in the sea of many. Yeah. And so when I became part of that UNESCO Decade on Education for Sustainability, I said, it's not about me anymore. Okay, I know a lot of stuff because I spent 10 years in 3 different colleges, mm-hmm. but other people know equally and have other points of view. And that's the rich carpet, the rich mosaic that, mm-hmm. We're both creating, I guess. And that's when I had films from other cultures, from other backgrounds, from professional documentary filmmakers, by kids. I work mm-hmm. with kids quite a lot. It's also a part of me. I'm also a certified National Geographic educator. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Then, of course, I'm a fellow of the Explorers Club, which is an amazing club of adventurous people, who go to the moon, who dive into the deepest depths of the oceans. And so I always keep on challenging myself. And I think subconsciously you did the same, that you surrounded yourself with all these brilliant voices of the future. Mm-hmm. And that inspires you further. So I think we both keep on growing. And I think that's a nugget for the audience, maybe, that dare to go a little bit out of your comfort zone and experience the magic, if it's done with positive intent.
Positive intent, with authenticity,
exactly.
with humility, with vulnerability, and I was vibrating at that level on a day-to-day basis. Now I'm vibrating at this level because of the quality of people that you meet. When people rise, all boats rise with that. And that is what this thing was for me.
So you understand energy work.
I totally do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the golden nugget
Yeah.
that the audiences, could explore,
Yeah.
is elevate another and see how that works out for you. Do something positive, and they will probably get that back.
Jacqueline was one of the people I interviewed also. She's a great coach, and she sort of said that if there's a candle that's lit, with that you can light 100 candles. And it doesn't diminish the candle, it just makes more light. And that is what energy is about, that is what connectivity is about.
It might get messy sometimes, though, because
Yeah.
the wax can fall off, and not every person is ready for change.
That is true.
And some will push you away. So there's also a way in the language we're using to invite people to the dance.
We're having a fascinating conversation with Pamela, and the problem at the moment is, this challenge I would say, is both of us are talkers. Both of us have amazing stories to share. And I think that is part of the energy, and that's part of the beauty and the spirit of what we're doing here at Voices of the Future, because really we are connecting the dots. We're bringing together all of these voices and creating this sort of crescendo, staying with the metaphor of an orchestra, and harmonizing and synchronizing and making sure that we can come together and in that harmony create a beautiful world to move forward. Pamela, moving forward, I'd like to ask a few more rapid fire questions, if I may. Okay. What is your view on trust? Trust, truth, transparency, and ethics. I mean, that is, to me, when I'm presenting internationally, that to me is where the future starts, is we need to build trust.
Well, I think trust is a beautiful thing, and it's a very special thing. And you have to understand that in today's society, you have to be careful who you trust. I used to trust everybody because I'm like Bambi, right? And like, flower, new person, friend. And then some people, who are little wolves in lambskin say, whoo, innocent little girl. Yeah. Okay, another Bambi. And so I think within family and friends, you should unconditionally trust each other. Unconditionally. You got your back, I got your back. In a world where I ended, Manhattan, New York, not such a good idea. Trust gets earned. You earn trust. So that's a little bit of a, two-way street. Truth is a whole different factor, and it's so important. You have to be truthful. If you say something, do it. Otherwise, you create a dissonance within your life, basically. You have to play the harmonics with your own instrument, your body. I do chakra chanting, by the way, as well. So I know all about chanting and how it actually nurtures that frequency within you. Truth is so important for me that I dedicated actually a children's book to it. Because all my adventures, right, and that educator in me, the little professor that was always there, even at 12, turned out to be even, a better professor. Because now I address audiences around the world and their kids. And in order to make them really excited about the future, full of possibilities and not fear, let's give them the building blocks to understand Mother Earth, sustainability, and let them get to work. And who's the hero? It's Eco-Hero, and she's a warrior of truth and light. And we should all be warriors of truth and light. Be all you can be, live in your truth. And people will feel it, will sense it, and will invite you further. So I think, that we could invite with this little podcast as well, more people to become more truthful and more authentic.
More authentic, I think that is really the word. It's just sort of branch out into two quick questions. Okay. One of them is, are you optimistic about the future when it comes to our kids? Are they learning properly? Are we looking after them sufficiently? Are we giving them a planet that is workable? Or what do we need to do with education and as we build the future?
Oh gosh, well, I have a solution, right? Otherwise I wouldn't be here. I launched it started as a workshop, Become an Eco-Hero. And it was for kids, okay? Introduction to sustainability, and then the exciting journey into the reality of ecosystems, air, soil, forest, and water. And I take kids on an adventure. It's a storytelling, right? You told me already that you've realized I'm a photographer. I'm on my 23rd exhibit as well, because I want to share the beauty that I see in other people. You know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Indeed, yeah.
And so what I share with kids when I am with them, you have something unique, a unique talent. Let's find that nugget within you. Let's connect it with Mother Earth, plant a tree, go out in nature, cook something vegetarian for a change, get your hands dirty and see how that works for you.
Yeah. You know, I talk about...
And they love it, by the way. They
sure.
love the course, they love the photography, they love my authenticity, they love my truth, because kids feel it.
Totally.
They feel right away
Instantly.
if you're full of it
Yes.
or not. And with me, they said, oh gosh. And the fact that I was 12 when I started that magazine makes them say, well, if she can do it, I can do it, because I make it look easy. And so that course is now getting developed into a TV show.
Brilliant.
And I hope to bring it to the Middle East as well.
Sounds amazing. And we'll take this Voices of the Future and bring it to Belgium and do a TV series there, perhaps.
Wonderful.
I talk a lot about technology, and as a futurist, I'm expected to sort of. But then I talk about the truth, trust, ethics, and values and empathy also. What I say is that anything that can be digitized will be. It'll be 1,000,000 times faster and 1,000,000 times cheaper. But anything and everything that cannot be digitized, love, compassion, harmony, intuition, creativity, imagination, heart, soul, spirit, energy, judgment, all of these things are going to be 1,000,000 times more valuable. So therefore, what we need to do is to invest in these skills, because technology will be an enabler which will lift us. But it's these human skills, that is what's going to differentiate us. And this is what I'm about, is to be able to be more human as the world gets more technological. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, thank you for that question. I think you're absolutely true. You know, technology can make people hide themselves behind a screen. You know, there's no individual touch. And so there's a lot of polarization that's happening in the world. And it's again, my heart and soul is with Mother Earth. I am totally into this whole realm of sustainability and the ultimate possibilities, which is really elevating, you know, humanity. The unification of humanity has really gone the opposite way. Yeah. So again, a thinker, a forecaster, and also a person with that heart set, you know, the healthy heart set. I thought, well, what can I do to unify people further? And I came up with a concept, a unifying concept that invites people at the doorstep of opposing mindsets. And it's called ecogenist. All right. It sounds very futuristic, but I cut it in 3 parts. Eco comes from oikos, Greek. Then you have the generation, and then ist, you know, coming from a word-making principle. And so the intent I had with the concept was, you are born to the generation to create something of positive value, benefiting society and the planet. And when you do the exercise, and I prefer doing it in one-on-one, because then you can laugh, you can explore. People realize that they are a kaleidoscope of opportunities and growth. And that is an exercise that I would also potentially do here in Dubai, where people meet, gather into a social situation, and where you then get to work in discovering your identity. And as you mature and do more great things, you become a richer person. You know, if I say, Tariq, you are this, you have one name. But if we do this concept together, you know, for example, eco, I'm an economist. I'm also an ecologist. Jen, I'm born of the generation who created Earth Day, right? That special day on April 22nd. Ist, I'm a preservationist. So suddenly my identity becomes rich, it becomes alive. And those are fun things to do in a group.
Yeah.
Those are fun things, bring that communication back, bring the creativity back, and let's wait and see what happens with that.
It's an amazing description, because 20 years ago, nobody was a coach, and then everybody became a coach. And when I became a futurist 6, 7, 8 years ago, and I put it there on my LinkedIn, I was one of the few.
Oh, wow.
Now everybody is a futurist. This is the whole thing. So Ecogenist is probably one of those new environments that you're building, and I love the story behind it. Now, we can carry on talking, but I'd like to ask you a very deep question. Let's put ourselves in a time capsule, in a time machine.
Okay,
and we project ourselves to your 100th birthday.
Oh!
And on your 100th birthday, what do we see around us? What's happening around us? What have you achieved? What has done? Who's there with you? Share your 100th birthday with me.
Well,
you're only at half time, so you've got a long way to go.
Gosh, yes. And it's exciting because yes, God only knows that we will all have that longevity, right? That we find the fountain of youth. And that I look like this when I'm 100. So that changes everything, of course, right?
Totally. And you will, because all the longevity, and there's 3 people who talk about longevity in the book, Jose Cordero, Mike Sinnell, and Dr. Graham Simpson, all 3 of them. Yeah. So you can actually literally look as beautiful as you are today, as you go forward.
Thank you.
So really the question is, what are we seeing, and what?
Well, we are seeing obviously my beloved husband first, right, my soulmate. My dog, my King Charles Cavalier, called Bundy. He was called Bond when I bought him. But then we thought it was a bit macho for a beautiful little dog, so we call him Bondi, Australian Beach. I live in a place, I can see palm trees for sure. I see palm trees in my future.
Amazing.
An ocean, a lot of swimming, meditation, a lot of happy kids who are educated, who found smart back, thanks to the world being unified.
Right.
I see actually a cleaner environment. We found many solutions. There is no more waste. We've closed the loops, right? Yeah. Circular economy is at its peak. And are we going to be traveling to other galaxies? Maybe time travel will have happened. There is a lot of possibility if you put your mind to things. The mind is a super powerful tool. And you connect the mind with the heart, miracles happen. Indeed. So that's what I wish. A peaceful world, a healthy world, laughing kids, and a unified world. That would be a beautiful vision to hold.
That's a beautiful vision to hold. And as we depart from the time machine, we come back to Earth, and you're leaving a little message in a bottle for your kids and for us to read. What will that message read in, say, 5 to 10 years' time?
Congratulations, dear Pamela, for believing in your dreams and making them happen.
Wow, amazing. I cannot follow after that. Pamela, it's been an absolute honor. Thank you very much indeed. It's been really, really super. Appreciate it. We've just been talking to Pamela, and what a conversation. And this could have continued for a long time, and I dare say there will be some in the future. We're going to feature her in Voices of the Future, in ecology, as an influencer, as a person, as a thought leader, because she's connecting all of those dots, and it's beautiful to have her here, and we're really genuinely pleased. Thank you. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, Tariq, for having me.
Thank you.
Honor.